Hello, thank you for being here. My name is Davey Calico, and I'd like you to journey with me through my transformative journey to integrate health into all domains of my life. Most of our perceptions in the domains of health lie exclusively with improving the physical well-being, or improving the emotional well-being, or improving the financial well-being, or improving spiritual well-being. And that's a viewpoint that's traditionally very Western. It is aligned with the Western model of health, which dissects beingness into different parts, as though my heart is separate from my lungs. Along my journey, I discovered that wasn't true. You see, I used to be a public education school teacher, and I used to subscribe to Western medicine, much the same way that most people do. In fact, my life was saved by Western medicine when I was 17 years old. I was in a very terrible car accident, was in a coma, had a collapsed lung, and multiple knee surgeries. And without Western medicine, I would not have lived. So I'd like to celebrate Western medicine for giving us the tools to save ourselves from acute injuries. Although I don't believe that Western medicine gives us the tools to live a healthy, integrated life. Western medicine is focused upon treating illnesses and disease, and it makes money. So if the model of medicine that we have focuses upon treating illness and making money, then it doesn't take a brain surgeon to determine that that isn't going to lead to vitality, to longevity, not just more years in our life, more life in our years. So, implicit in Chinese medicine is a very important question. How would I live? How would you live? How would we live if we made our health and our well-being the most important part of our lives? And my journey is about answering that question for me. And I hope you follow along and find answers to that question with me. Along the way, we'll start to look at how we can treat chronic illness to bring perpetual vitality as much as possible. Of the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States, 9 are directly impacted by chronic health issues. Only 1, unintentional accidents, is not connected to our vitality, our state of health. But heart disease, diabetes, cancer, dementia, even COVID are all impacted by our state of health and impacted by comorbidities, health factors that diminish a person's vitality. And so we're going to do our best. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I possess as much vitality as possible through all domains of my life. And I'd like you to join me. I'd like you to follow along. So find Davey Calico on Facebook and Instagram. Follow and subscribe. There's a saying you might have heard: a picture's worth 1,000 words. This is the Neijing 2. And the Neijing 2 shows the inner landscape of the human body mapped into an organic living cycle. And so we're not looking at the health of each part, but the relationships between the parts. The bottom of the Neijing 2 is more boldly colored and drawn than the upper part. And that's because the work of inner alchemy starts in the bottom part of the torso. This is the abdomen, the lower dantian. This is where sexual qi, or jing qi, is manifest. And that sexual qi can tie into our physical health as well as our sexual health. So we can start here at the kidneys. The kidneys are seen as the queen of the body. They're the batteries of the body, and they bring a lot of energy. As qi comes down from the kidneys, in most people, it leaks out, down and out, into desires, whether met or unmet. It manifests into desires that are projected out into the manifest external world. So, as the waters come down and we start to activate this vitality practice, we start to move the waters back. We start to move them back up rather than allowing them to leak out. And then we start to embody this man walking his cow and collecting gold coins. And through diligent practice and pulling and pushing with the diaphragm and regulating the breath, we begin to cultivate a mastery of this system. We start to learn how to move the waters. Along the way, we start to ignite some fire. This is the lower dantian, and this is where fire starts to burn, this furnace. And this fire begins to heat up the waters, cooking them upwards across the spine. You can see that as that happens, there's spikes of energy and sensation that move through acupressure points. And as we embrace high vitality, we begin to feel these sensations more deeply. We can see these trees as representations of the lungs and the air that breathes. And as we do this work, we bring life to the lungs to move the qi upwards, which connects to this weaver girl. The weaver girl represents the kidneys, and the kidneys, which are prone to stillness and leaking, she begins to find movement up and to connect to the cowherd boy. And the cowherd boy is prone to movement in the heart, and his heart usually, the heart tends to move through loving other things and attaching to other things. But as we still the heart, these two begin to communicate. As the kidneys and the heart start to communicate, the energy rises further. We can see this pagoda here, which connects to the importance of good posture. Remember, the spine is an extension of the brain. It even has gray matter in the brain. So as we create space in the spine and flexibility in the spine, we increase our ability to steam this qi, these waters, up the spine. As we move up to the upper dantian, the brain space, and the pineal and pituitary gland, we have two forces that we become aware of. These connect to our eyes and the sun and the moon. See, there's a dynamic here. There's a polarity between consciousness and body awareness and consciousness and the interplay between them. Along with that, we can see this bridge along this pool, which represents the upper palate and the need to use the tongue in an intelligent way to, when we do this cultivation work, to keep the tongue pressed against the roof of the mouth. This connects circuits so that once the energy flows up the dew meridian, it can flow down the REM meridian, so that we begin to steam this chi and purify this water. It's almost like early on in the practice, we have a bunch of dirty water down here, and as we cultivate and work, we steam it up and purify it so that we begin to embody a more pure cycle. So this is the work. This is the Beijing 2. I hope this added some meaning. If you have questions or comments, please let me know. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. Make sure you like and subscribe. Davey Calico.